Namaskar, a very good evening to you. It's 9 p.m. and you're watching the news with me, Bhawna Nayar. Over the next half hour, we'll bring you the top updates from the national and international arena. The government has stepped in to provide relief on fuel prices. Prime Minister Modi hosts the victorious Deaf Olympics contingent. Scott Morrison facing defeat in the Australian elections and much more. First up, the top headlines we are tracking this hour. Government announces relief on fuel front. Petrol becomes cheaper by rupees 9.50, diesel by rupees 7. Finance Minister announces subsidy of rupees 200 on LPG cylinders as well. Assam-Arunachal border dispute will be resolved by next year, asserts Home Minister Amit Shah. Says efforts are on to make Northeast free of extremism. Union Health Ministry issues alert on monkeypox, advises extreme vigilance in the matter. NCDC ICMR to keep close watch on situation. Emergency lifted in Sri Lanka, India and Japan to provide food items to Colombo. India also sent 40,000 tons of diesel. Stellar performance by India in Archery World Cup. Men's team wins gold. Mohan gets silver. Prime Minister meets best performing Indian contingent in the Deaf Olympics. Flood situation in Assam worsens. More than 7 lakh people affected. Heavy rains to continue in Kerala. 2 dam gates opened. Let's now take a quick look at more important stories of the day. On Anti-Terrorism Day, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu calls terrorism a grave threat to humanity and world peace, pays tribute to people who made sacrifices in the fight against terrorism. Union Minister PIYUSH Goyal to lead Indian delegation to World Economic Forum at Davos, deliberations to begin from Sunday. Unified Civic Municipal Body of Delhi to come into existence from Sunday. Body of second worker recovered from debris of Ramban tunnel collapse in Jammu and Kashmir. Search continues for 8 trapped workers. NASSCOM to launch portal to promote digitization of small and medium enterprises, says Union Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar. Department of Consumer Affairs tells registrars and consumers commissions to speed up redressal of consumer complaints. As part of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, Ministry of Culture to commemorate 250th birth anniversary of Raja Ram Mohan Roy from Sunday. IMD predicts relief from heatwave conditions across India. Directorate of Revenue Intelligence and Coast Guard seized drugs worth rupees 1,526 crore from Lakshadweep Island. North Korea reports over 2 lakh new patients with fever-like symptoms for 5th day in a row. All right, news in detail now. In a major relief on the fuel front, petrol has become cheaper by rupees 9.50 and diesel by rupees 7. The government has also decided to give a subsidy of rupees 200 on every LPG cylinder up to 12 cylinders. Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said the government will reduce central excise duty on petrol by rupees 8 per litre and on diesel by rupees 6 per litre. This will reduce the price of petrol by rupees 9.50 per litre and that of diesel by rupees 7 per litre. Also, over 9 crore beneficiaries of Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana will get a subsidy of rupees 200 per gas cylinder. Moving on, Union Home Minister Amit Shah has said that the interstate border dispute between Arunachal Pradesh and Assam will be resolved by next year. He added that efforts are on to make the entire northeast region free of militancy. The Home Minister said 9,000 militants surrendered in the last 8 years. Addressing the Golden Jubilee celebrations of Ramakrishna Mission School at Narottam Nagar in Arunachal Pradesh, the Home Minister said the centre is committed to bring peace and development in the region. He added that the insurgency in the Bodoland region of Assam was resolved through the Bodo Peace Accord.
सालों से मेघालय और अरुणाचल की, अब मेघालय और असम की सीमाओं के बीच में जो समस्या थी, उसका भी 60% से ज्यादा डिस्प्यूट एरिया को आज शांति के साथ सुलझा दिया गया। और मुझे आशा है अरुणाचल और असम की सीमाओं की समस्या भी 2023 के पहले पहले इसका भी हमेशा के लिए हम समाधान देंगे।
The Home Minister also unveiled the statue of Swami Vivekananda at Ramakrishna Mission Ashram. And in other news from across the nation, Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla met the ICCR delegation at Parliament Library on Saturday. The delegation is in India on a study visit under the Gen Next Democracy Network program. Speaker Om Birla said the program will acquaint young leaders of democratic countries with India and its rich democratic processes and constitutional values. The CBI conducted searches in over 10 premises of brokers in several cities in connections with the National Stock Exchange co-location scam case. The central agency has filed a charge sheet against former NSE CEO and MD Chitra Ramakrishna and Group Operating Officer Anand Subramaniam in the case. Daily tally of COVID cases touched 2,323 on Saturday. The number of patients under treatment has come down to 14,996. Number of patients is 0.03% of total cases of infection, while the national rate of recovery is 98.75%. The flood situation in Assam remains grim. 29 districts are badly affected by the floods. More than 7.5 lakh people have been affected. Many of the affected people have been taken to relief camps. According to the Meteorological Department, due to the southwesterly winds, rain is likely to continue in the northeast region for the next few days. The nation remembered former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi on his 31st death anniversary on Saturday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid tributes to departed leader. A special prayer meeting was organized at Veer Bhumi, Rajiv Gandhi's Samadhi in Delhi. Congress President Sonia Gandhi and General Secretary Priyanka Gandhi led many Congress leaders in paying their respects. Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated in a bomb blast on 21st May 1991. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting Japan on Sunday for the Quad Summit. He will also have bilateral summits with the Prime Minister of Japan and Australia and US President Joe Biden. The Prime Minister will reach Tokyo on Monday. In his two-day visit to the Japanese capital, Prime Minister Modi will address a gathering of Indian diaspora and participate in a meeting with Japanese business leaders. Briefing reporters on Saturday, Foreign Secretary Vinay Quatra said the Quad Summit will take up issues related to climate action, infrastructure and supply chain, also health infrastructure, post-COVID response and vaccine issues. The creation of an Indo-Pacific economic framework could be taken up on 24th May. The Foreign Secretary added that the situation in Sri Lanka is also likely to come up for discussions.
Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi will travel to Japan on an official visit next week on 23-24 May to participate in the Quad Leaders Summit in Tokyo at the invitation of Prime Minister of Japan, His Excellency Fumio Kishida. Apart from participating in the Quad Summit, Prime Minister would also hold bilateral meetings with the President of the US, Prime Minister of Japan, and with Prime Minister of Australia. The Prime Minister would also engage with the Japanese business community and the Indian diaspora during his stay in Tokyo.
India has stepped up surveillance at all international entry points for monkeypox infections. Around 100 cases are suspected in parts of Europe, US and Australia. Officials have been told to collect samples for testing of passengers arriving from African nations who show symptoms related to monkeypox. Samples of suspected cases will be sent to National Institute of Virology in Pune for testing against the viral disease. Prominent virologists have cautioned against panic. They point out that there is need to study the developments. The World Health Organization is warning the transmission of the monkeypox virus in Europe may accelerate as mass gathering, festivals and parties increase during the summer months. The virus is related to smallpox but is far less virulent. Here is the report.
Monkeypox is a rare viral infection that can spread from person to person. Scientists have monitored the monkeypox virus in numerous outbreaks in Africa. What is, however, baffling is its recent spread in Europe and North America. Cases of the smallpox-related disease have previously been seen only among people with links to Central and West Africa. But in the past week, Britain, Spain, Portugal, Italy, US, Sweden and Canada all reported infections, mostly in young men who hadn't previously travelled to Africa. France, Germany, Belgium and Australia have also confirmed their first cases. Most patients only experience fever, body aches, chills and fatigue. People with more serious illness may develop a rash and lesions on the face and hands that can spread to other parts of the body. The incubation period is from about 5 days to 3 weeks. Most people recover within about 2 to 4 weeks without needing to be hospitalized. Monkeypox can be fatal for up to 1 in 10 people and is thought to be more severe in children. People exposed to the virus are often given one of several smallpox vaccines, which have been shown to be effective against monkeypox. The World Health Organization estimates there are thousands of monkeypox infections in about a dozen African countries every year. Most are in Congo, which reports about 6,000 cases annually, and Nigeria with about 3,000 cases a year. Isolated cases of monkeypox are occasionally spotted outside Africa, including in the US and Britain. Previously, the cases have been typically associated with travel to Africa or contact with animals from areas where the disease is more common. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Slipping into a short break here. Coming up, Scott Morrison's coalition government conceded defeat in Australian elections. All this after this short break. You stay tuned to Sansad TV.
Watch our special presentations in The Defenders only on Sansad TV.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching the news. Let's now get you all the latest developments from the Russia-Ukraine war. Russia claimed to have captured Mariupol in what would be its biggest victory yet in its war with Ukraine. A nearly 3-month siege reduced much of the strategic port city of a smoking ruin, with over 20,000 civilians feared dead. There was no immediate confirmation from Ukraine. Russia's state agency said 2,439 Ukrainian fighters who had been holed up at Azovstal steel plant surrendered since Monday, including over 500 on Friday. The steel mill had been the site of fierce fighting for weeks. US President Joe Biden signed a bill to provide nearly $40 billion in aid for Ukraine as part of efforts to boost military support, the White House said. The bill will funnel support to Ukraine for the next 5 months or so. It includes about $6 billion budgeted for armored vehicles and air defense. Ukraine's eastern Donbas province is experiencing heavy fighting, a regional governor has reported. The eastern Ukrainian town of Severodonetsk has been under fire for days, with several dead and injured, according to the governor of the Luhansk region. The Russians are wiping out Severodonetsk like Mariupol, he said. The Kremlin has claimed Russian forces have destroyed a large shipment of Western-supplied weapons in northwestern Ukraine with long-range missiles. The high-precision, long-range sea-based Caliber missiles destroyed a large batch of weapons and military equipment near the Malin railway station delivered from the United States and European countries. The war in Ukraine can only be resolved through diplomacy, President Zelensky said amid a deadlock in negotiations between Kyiv and Moscow. Talking to a Ukrainian television channel, he said the war will only definitely end through diplomacy. Russia's Gazprom has halted gas exports to Finland, the Finnish gas system operator has confirmed. Gas imports through Imatra entry point have been stopped. Gasgrid Finland said in a statement, Imatra is the only entry point for Russia gas into Finland. Finnish state-owned gas wholesaler Gasum also confirmed supplies had stopped. It says it will source supplies through Estonia's grid instead. The US Department of State has said Washington is confident that Turkey's concern about admission of Sweden and Finland into NATO will be addressed. Some other global updates in this quick wrap now. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison has conceded defeat in the national elections. His ruling coalition is unlikely to reach the majority mark of 76 seats required to form the next government. Here is the report.
With Liberals facing major swings in once safe seats, Scott Morrison's Liberal Party is under a lot of pressure in once safe heartland seats, losing to so-called Teal independents. With more than a quarter of the vote counted, opposition leader Anthony Albanese's centre-left Labour Party is a favourite to win its first election since 2007. However, it also remains unclear if the Labour Party will be able to form a majority government or if Australia will have a hung parliament. The coalition, in any case, appears unable to reach 76 seats unless postal votes are radically different from the count. Due to the pandemic, more than 48% of Australia's 17 million electors voted early or applied for postal votes, which will likely slow the count.
Thank you. We deserve locals.
If Albanese replaces Morrison as Prime Minister, it will make him the 31st person to hold the nation's top job. The son of a single parent who grew up in public housing, Albanese reached the pinnacle of his career after 26 years in the parliament. The Labour Party is promising more spending on care for children and the elderly. The coalition had promised better economic management as Australia's deficit soars because of the pandemic. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Moving on, emergency has been lifted in Sri Lanka after 2 weeks. This decision has been taken in view of the improvement in law and order in the country. 9 people died and over 200 people were injured in clashes in the pro-government and anti-government protest in Sri Lanka. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa had imposed emergency for the second time in a month. Meanwhile, India and Japan will provide food items worth millions of dollars to Sri Lanka. Indian High Commission in Colombo said an Indian ship carrying immediate aid items like rice, medicines and milk powder will reach Colombo on Sunday. Japan has also announced $1.5 million food and school fund assistance under the World Food Programme. Meanwhile, India has also sent an additional consignment of 40,000 tons of diesel under the line of credit given to Sri Lanka. Let's now look at the other news of the world. Japan will negotiate with US President Joe Biden to rejoin the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership (CPTPP). The matter is expected to be discussed when Biden meets the Japanese Prime Minister on Monday. The US left the Trans-Pacific Partnership under the President Donald Trump in 2017, and the CPTPP took effect the following year. While Biden has portrayed himself as anti-Trump, he has shown no enthusiasm for returning to the deal as written. China has condemned Canada for violating the principle of market economy and after the country banned 2 Chinese companies from its 5G networks. Wireless carriers in Canada won't be allowed to install Huawei equipment in their high-speed 5G networks, the Canadian government said on Thursday, joining allies in banning the giant Chinese technology company. The ban also includes ZTE Corporation, one of the China's biggest tech companies. The US and the other members, Britain, Australia and New Zealand, previously banned Hawaii. The 15th session of the Conference of the Parties of the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification wrapped up in Abidjan on Friday after almost 2 weeks of talks. COP15 brought together leaders from governments, the private sector, civil society and others to discuss how to protect the soil. Desertification, land degradation and drought were the key themes with a target for finding sustainable solutions for land restoration. China will cooperate with international financial institutions to play a positive role in easing Sri Lanka's debt burden as the Indian Ocean nation sees its worst economic crisis in decades. Without elaborating how Beijing will help, China said it expected Sri Lanka to work hard to ensure the legitimate rights and interest of its financing partners and the credibility of the country's financial market is upheld. Sri Lanka suspended payment of $51 billion debt to China, Japan and other foreign leaders. A storm swept across parts of Germany, generating 3 tornadoes. More than 40 people were injured in North Rhine-Westphalia city. Meteorologists warned of heavy rainfall, hail and strong gusts of wind in western and central Germany on Friday. A church steeple was toppled when more than 100 people were temporarily trapped in a local open-air pool after fallen trees blocked the exit. Boeing's astronaut capsule parked at the International Space Station for the first time on Friday. It marked a huge achievement for the company after years of false starts. How would this achievement help the astronauts in near future? Take a look.
And liftoff. Starliner.
NASA finally realizes its long-time effort to have crew capsules from competing US companies flying to the space station. Boeing Starliner's arrival follows in the footsteps of SpaceX that already has a running start. Elon Musk's company pulled off the same test 3 years ago and has since launched 18 astronauts to the space station as well as tourists. The only other time Boeing Starliner flew into space, it never got anywhere near the station, ending up in the wrong orbit. This time, the overhauled spacecraft made it to the right spot following Thursday's launch and docked at the station 25 hours later, although it only contained a test dummy. The automated rendezvous went off without a major hitch, despite a pair of thrusters that failed during liftoff. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
And now all the action from the world of sports. Starting today with archery, the Indian men's compound archery team today came from behind to prevail over France by 2 points to win the gold medal in successive World Cup stages. In a repeat of the Stage 1 final, the 4th-seeded men's team, comprising Abhishek Verma, Aman Saini and Rajat finished immaculately after trailing to seal a 232-230 win over the French team. Verma then went on to win a second medal with Avneet Kaur, piping higher-ranked Turkey 156-155 to win the bronze in the mixed team event. In chess now, 16-year-old chess prodigy R. Pragnananda has defeated world chess champion Magnus Carlsen once again. Within 3 months of stunning Carlsen first, Pragnananda achieved the rare feat a second time in the 5th round of the ongoing Chessable Masters. The contest between Carlsen and Pragnananda was headed towards a draw, but Carlsen made a big mistake on his 40th move and then resigned on his next. Moving to badminton now, PV Sindhu could not make it to the finals of the Thailand Open being played in Bangkok. In the semi-finals, 6th seed, Sindhu lost to the 3rd seed, Chinese Chen Yufei in straight games. Sindhu did offer resistance in the first game, however, she lost it 17-21. It was a similar story in the second game. Better tactical play by the Chinese made her the winner 21-17, 21-16. In cricket now, R. Ashwin played a major role in Rajasthan Royals' crucial victory over Chennai Super Kings in their last league match of IPL 15. The win confirmed the second spot for RR going into the playoffs. It is significant as the teams ending within the first 2 places get 2 chances to make it to the final. Super Kings made 150 for 6. Chasing 151, Ashwin's 40 not out of 23 balls helped RR reach the target with 2 balls remaining. In tennis, Wimbledon has been stripped of ranking points by the sport's main tours, the ATP and WTA. The move threatens to reduce Wimbledon, widely regarded as the world's most prestigious tennis tournament, to status of a high-profile exhibition event. The decision by the ATP and WTA was in response to Wimbledon banning Russian and Belarusian players following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And before we wrap up, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Before the headlines, let's see Prime Minister Narendra Modi hosted the victorious Indian contingent that took part in the Deaf Olympics in Brazil. He said the players had brought pride and honor to the country. Sports Minister Anurag Thakur also took part in the event. The Indian Deaf Olympic team entered the top 10 countries in the table for the first time with 16 medals. The team had bagged only 5 medals in 2017. In Brazil, India won 5 of the 11 sporting events.
इस वैश्विक प्रतिस्पर्धा में हिस्सा लिया। उन्होंने पूरे देश के सामने हौसले का एक अभूतपूर्व उदाहरण प्रस्तुत किया है। कुछ लोग होंगे जो मेडल तक शायद नहीं पहुंच पाए होंगे, लेकिन ये मान के चलिए कि उस मेडल ने आपको देख लिया है। अब वो मेडल आपका इंतजार कर रहा है, वो मेडल आपका इंतजार कर रहा है। आप ये मत सोचिए कि अब आप पीछे हैं, आप जरूर सिद्धि प्राप्त करेंगे।
Government announces relief on fuel front. Petrol become cheaper by rupees 9.50, diesel by rupees 7. Finance Minister announces subsidy of rupees 200 on LPG cylinders as well. Assam-Arunachal border dispute will be resolved by next year, asserts Home Minister Amit Shah. Says efforts are on to make Northeast free of extremism. Union Health Ministry issues alert on monkeypox, advises extreme vigilance in the matter. NCDC, ICMR to keep close watch on situation. Emergency lifted in Sri Lanka, India and Japan to provide food items to Colombo. India also sent 40,000 tons of diesel. Stellar performance by India in Archery World Cup. Men's team wins gold. Mohan Bhardwaj gets silver. Prime Minister meets best performing Indian contingent in the Deaflympics. Flood situation in Assam worsens. More than 7 lakh people affected. Heavy rains to continue in Kerala. 2 dam gates opened. That's all we have in this bulletin. To keep yourself updated, keep watching Sansad TV. Good night. Namaskar.